Well, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers, and we're going to start with the newspaper of record this day on Saturday. Mr. Steve.
Absolutely. We start from top to bottom so that we can come to the lead and the cover photo. But we'll start from the window story. What Gen Zs want from their banks: urge financial institutions to be more innovative, customer-centric, inclusive, and secure deposit. This is an important survey carried out by this day on Saturday, and they've come up with what Gen Zs actually want from their banks. I think that it will also be important to know what Gen Zs truly want from their government, given what Faz, the bad guy, told us about, not having a disconnect between the government and the people. Below that survey on the window is the story minimum wage. You can't dictate what to pay. NLC replies governors. That story is on page 6 of today's this day. And I think that a few other newspapers also have it on their cover, which is an important debate to have, given what the Southern Governors Forum are saying and what other governors are saying about let us pay according to what we can afford. And the NLC is saying, just like the Ramfat thing, it is not left for you to decide. It's the idea of a living wage has to bring a lot of considerations on board, and it's not about can I sign off on this. It's beyond what you maybe it will come down to what they can pay, but then it's not the governor say that, oh, I can only afford 70 or 50 or 60. It has to be holistic. And I think that what will get us there will be robust, sincere debate as to what actually constitutes living wage, and not delving into whether it should be an hourly paid or a monthly paid. At the end of the day, even if you're paid hourly, it comes down to a living wage at the end of the month for those who are, being paid. A worker deserves his wage. That's what we're told. And under the masthead, federal government begins engagement with governors, lawmakers on 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Others. That story is on page 10. I think this is more about the president, actually sharing his thoughts and ideas and programs and projects with the governors and the lawmakers, which to me is highly commendable. And I also hope that the office of Hadiza, Bala Usman, which monitors what the government does, will also key into this kind of a thing so that citizens can be regularly reminded of what is going on, and then seeking synergy between the federal government and the state and the lawmakers. And the second lead, to boost liquidity, rates convergence, others. CBN unveils guidelines for FX deposit by banks, imposes 0.30% handling charge. Stock market gains 15.68 trillion naira in first half in 2024, which is not a bad thing on paper, which is not a bad thing at all, Shaitan. On paper, 15.68 trillion. Which CBN says that the stock market gains. But what will be more important will be how the citizens, how the masses feeling all these paper gains that the CBN is talking about.
Yeah, like as the article says, despite the FX volatility, the Naira has lost value, I think now 9 days consecutively losing value against the dollar. The soaring inflation rate. Despite all these factors, even despite certain companies leaving the country, the Nigerian Stock Exchange still managed to appreciate. I don't believe in trickle-down economics. I think this money is still swimming and staying in the top upper echelons of society. Yeah. I do not think it's trickling down, as you have rightly pointed out. So this is good for the economy, it's good for the market, but it's mostly good for a handful of individuals. Exactly.
What is not cherry is the news about the fact that the Naira is the worst performing currency, globally in the first half of 2024. And that's one area that CBN will need to work on. And I also think that they need to work on the you know, the seeming scarcity of cash to people, particularly from banks and from, what was it called? Where you draw money. From the ATMs.
But for some reason, the POS, people that are distributing
in front of banks.
In front of banks always seem to have cash. So it's a situation where you're wondering if it's here to stay.
People are trading in the naira.
Yes.
You know, and because now that we see that all the noise and the brouhaha over, you know, spraying money, it looks like it has now been defined. Bobrisky is in jail, and the other fellow has paid 10 million and is out of jail. And then they now tell you that just spray dollar, or you spray, you know, in bills.
Yes.
You know, rather than just scatter the money. And so you still find at parties means that you can't get in banks. If you know what I mean. I mean, we thought that this would have disappeared with the Emefiele, you know, time, but it looks like 1 year after this new government and almost a year of Mr. Cardoso in the saddle, people are still basically trading in naira. People go there and they're still being told you can't take more than 5,000, 10,000, etc. But you step out to POS people, you can get as much as you want for a fee.
Yes.
I'm not sure that that is the correct way, you know, to deal with the naira. But of course, to the big story, which is the lead in today's this day, calls mount for Joe Biden to quit presidential race after debate fumble. New York Times editorial board advises U.S. president to step aside. Bad debate night happens, says Obama, which is in sync with what Vice President
Kamala
Harris said,
yes.
And then, of course, the White House team saying that, oh, it was just a bad day. You know, he's old.
I think one thing that I would say, you know, I think the concerted chorus, the unison that's coming from the Democratic side saying he should step down, from Democratic media saying he should step down, the fact that the debate is the earliest, the fact that the debate is the earliest it's ever been put before, it's coming before the Democratic National Convention. I definitely would like to believe the conspiracy theorists who believe that this was the plan all along, because Gavin Newsom was there. You know, they were asking the California governor direct questions about whether he would step in as the nominee already, and political machinations in America. The conspiracy that the Dems did want Biden to be primaried out. And yes, Biden fumbled, but Trump lied. Trump
let's leave this is not about Trump. We knew he was going to lie. Let's deal with
my issue with the American media, and I generally, especially the responsibility, the November's election, we're in June. Let's be very serious here. We are going to create another Hillary Trump situation where the media says, well, they're both bad, but maybe one is worse than the other. Biden and Trump are significantly different candidates. They present different things, both for the international community, for the Nigerian economy, for immigrants, for law, for the Supreme Court bench. The election matters a lot. And in these machinations, I think they're not being very responsible when they just say, you know what, or maybe just step that out. Because if he does not,
I read the New York Times editorial, and I think that it was well written, and it was factual, and I think it is what every journalist and anybody who's interested in the American election, should read. And I think that their fears are obvious.
Yes.
I think that Mr. Biden, not in terms of age at 81, but in terms of what he's presenting to the people. I mean, let's be frank. They have tried as much as possible to hide the fact that he may not be up to it for a long time on social media and everything. That's what we saw on stage.
He does not inspire confidence.
He really doesn't inspire confidence. That reminds me, I was listening to Van Jones reacting to Biden's performance, and he said it wasn't even about like he said about the panic. It was painful to watch. You know, the way he would kind of, when trying to make his point, he didn't necessarily. He almost gave Trump that.
I mean, it was, for me, it's more painful to watch Trump lie. It's more painful to watch them ask Trump a question about one thing and he just talks about immigrants. It was more painful to listen to Trump call Biden a Palestinian as a slur. as a slur. He in fact said that the Israelis were blocking, the possibility for a truce, for there to be a ceasefire, and he said it as a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, for me, this is something that, so when we talk about pain, this is awkward. It's awkward to watch Biden. It's unfortunate. So your argument is on
both sides, for the Democrats and the Republicans.
I think you need to think about the danger. You have danger staring you in the face, and you're like, but this guy doesn't look pretty.
What do you mean danger? What is the danger in Trump becoming president?
I think there is
was president before.
I think there is a danger to the international community if Trump
probably safer under him.
What was safer?
And there are wars that we're now dealing with.
I think somebody who uses Palestinian as a slur is possibly dangerous for the Gaza crisis coming to an end.
I think that's what you get from Trump, and I was not expecting a decent, that sort of a thing. Even though at 77 going to 78, I saw, a strong, well-delivered, not agreeable kind of a speech. But I'm saying that the man who is in the saddle, who is the president, who wants a re-election, fumbled beyond, imagination. And I line with what New York Times editorial, which is the point of this lead story, which is significant. If this day leads with a story, drawing your attention to what New York Times editorial is saying, that, hey, let us reconsider.
Yeah. But it's also drawing your attention to what Obama is saying.
I think as a writer,
which is interesting because even Obama, when he did his first debate as well, didn't really come out so good.
Against Mitt Romney.
Yes, he didn't inspire confidence. But by the time they got on to, I think it was the second.
Not in this match.
I know.
To lose a debate is different from losing the confidence of the people.
But he didn't inspire that confidence.
But is there also time to actually replace him on the ballot?
Yes,
oh yes,
that's the real question.
It is possible. Again,
and on both ends as well, not just Biden.
On both sides, it will be unprecedented.
Hold on, the other side is not calling for the removal of the other one. But again, read the editorial of the New York Times, and you will see what it takes to remove, because the convention hasn't happened. What you will need essentially will be for the candidate, Mr. Biden, to say, I understand you. Okay, I think I can go on. Believe you me, if an Obama or a Clinton weighing on the fact that, hey, bro, let's quit. I'm sure that he would. But again, that's not for us to for us to decide. Let's go to another newspaper.
All right, then. Let's move on.
Before we start another debate.
Yes, let's move on very quickly to the Saturday Telegraph. The major headline there reads, not gang up against Tinubu will fail. Presidency sources says, let them gather, they will eventually scatter. Insists that the president is not bothered as he was supported by his incumbent in 2023. The Dara visit The Dara visit is political, and they're seeking alliances. And this is according to Mohammed Baba and Kwankwanso and the El Rufai meeting in Abuja. I think all of those meetings that happened.
When they say not gang up, we fall into this cliche of the North. Who is claiming this northern hegemony? Who? Because we saw a few people going to Wari.
Post-Salah,
exactly.
Post-Salah, paying of respects after Salah.
Yes.
To also former heads of state Babangida and Abdul Salami.
Yes.
I mean, presidency sources, it's really this idea of the gang up. We all know that the President Tinubu would not have become president without him winning the North, winning votes in the North.
There was a gang up against him, before the primaries too.
So, and again, the presidency should be focused, and this is what Rufai said, the presidency should be focused on leadership and actually governing the people rather than having their eyes on the politicking. Right, 2027 is still far away.
It's still far. It's still far away. All right, no problem. That's good. Let's see what happens. 2026 is actually key because I think that the primaries will probably happen. All right. That brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching and do stay safe.